All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Sports Writing Podcast. It's your man, Uncle Dub. You know where to find me. All the socials are in the show notes. Maybe you'll get them at the end. I don't know. But got a guest today. So I've been doing some thinking about this show, and I had to think about the wide array of guests we've had on this show. So we've had people who play sports, people who are in the industry, a particular sports industry, other podcasters who talk about various sports, fans of sports. And, we've even had, folks who listen to the show and say, hey, I've got something I want to talk about. I've got a topic of interest, or I heard something and I kind of want to rebut it. So we've got sort of that today. So want to introduce, one of my golf buddies, Tommy Smith. So he sent me something that was very interesting, and it's about Victor Wembanyama. And we kind of got into his discussion about load management in the NBA. And I wanted him to give me his thoughts on that because he hit me with something very interesting. And I thought, it was something that I thought was worthy of a great discussion. Tommy, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And I want to just jump out there right away and say I am a 100% proponent of load management. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how subjective my argument's going to be or how objective it's going to be, but I just want to throw that out there. And I'll just quantify that or justify that and say I always want to see the best players at the best times. So I'll
Okay.
pause right there and shut up because I can be long-winded.
Oh no, it's all good. But before we get to that, I just want to do a couple things before we get to that. So refresh my memory. You play football, correct?
I played football up through high school level and won a state champion in 1993, Woodbridge Barons, what's that, Group 8, Central New Jersey in
Mm-hmm.
1993.
Okay.
Good
Okay.
times. And that's
Okay.
when my career ended because I'm too small to continue playing.
Yeah. So when you play offense defense, obviously in high school you played offense and defense.
I started off freshman year actually playing quarterback and playing strong safety.
Mm-hmm.
Sophomore year, actually, that was in New York City Police Athletic League for the Rosedale Jets. I went to a high school of art and design in Manhattan that didn't have a football team. So if you wanted to play football, you had to join on one of these organizations in the community. Did a good job there, made the all-star team, and then my mom kind of suckered me into going to live with my dad in Jersey. She sent me out there for the summer. And one of the guys who lived in our housing complex, who I played sandlot football with, told me why don't I come out, and just work out with the team because, keep me in shape come the next season when I go back to New York. Lo and behold, that ended up being a setup by my friend Jack. His coach saw me, asked me if I'd like to play at Woodbridge, and I said, "Yeah." He said, "What position you play?" I said, "Quarterback." And the coach said, "Well, I don't know if you'll be quarterback here." And he pointed to the side there, and there was like three guys that were 6'2", 6'3". He said, "But with your speed, you'd be great at receiver or great at defensive back." And actually made the transition at that time to playing wide receiver and cornerback.
Okay, good stuff, man. Okay, all right. So I know that. Or keep me honest here. So now high school career was it. One state championship. But obviously you must be a big football fan. I'm going to assume you are a Giants fan.
Nah, man, that's a funny story. I'm actually a Vikings fan,
Okay.
but I got there in a roundabout way. I'm originally from Georgetown, Guyana, and when I came to America in the 80s, I was wondering why there weren't any black quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I heard my uncle say, well, they said that black guys are too stupid to play quarterback. And being West Indian, we made a trip up to Canada, to Toronto for Caravana. And when I got up there, they had Canadian football on the TV, and there was this guy by the name of Warren Moon. who was lighting stuff up. And I'm like, hold on. I'm talking to my other uncle. I said, man, they said black guys aren't smart enough to play quarterback. And my uncle jumped in with his accent, "Boy, you must be crazy. You should see this man just pelt this ball all around the place by. And every summer we'd go for Caravan and I get an opportunity to see Warren Moon. And I think back then he won like 6 Grey Cups or what I think the titles were. So I'm like, I'm seeing this dude. Then he ends up in Houston. So I started being a Houston Oilers fan. When he left Houston, he matriculated his way to the Vikings. So I started liking the Vikings, and then that turned into Randall Cunningham being there with Randy Moss and Chris Carter. So I was locked in after that. You know what I'm saying? That was the
Right.
greatest show I ever seen, in football between the Randall Cunningham days with Randy Moss and Chris Carter and Jake Reed and Robert Smith. So, that kind of locked me into the Vikings. And purple and gold, that's the best color out there. So gotta
Right,
throw it
right,
up
right.
for that.
Okay, all right. Well, it all worked out because I mean, you got to see some amazing football, and of course, all due respect, for your fraternity colors. That's
Mhm.
awesome, man. That's cool. That is a cool story
Yeah, man.
because I love those stories where people tell me, "Well, you live here, but you're a fan of this team," and it's always a really cool story. But that I think that's probably one of the better stories I've heard, man. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Um, so other than that, kind of moving into the NBA real quick. You've been watching the finals. Any thoughts about what's happening right now?
Well, I'm a Knicks fan, so I'm heartbroken after last night's loss at Madison Square Garden. I'm gonna say something that'll probably get me crucified by all Knicks fans, but this isn't. I don't think this is a Jalen Brunson series. I think that we've got to continue to work the ball through Karl Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a mismatch, whether it's, believe it or not, the alien Wemby. He's got enough girth and just enough quickness. He's not as big as Joker, but he's not as slow as he is. And he
Mm-hmm.
can kind of get around Wembanyama, and his width can hold off some of those blocks. So I liked his ability to drive there. And then when they switch a small guy on him, that's time to go old school, go down in the post. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping that Mike Brown can convince the squad to go back to that because we saw that in the first 2 games, and it was, we could withstand the fact that they might have more talent on the court. I'm also afraid, they got some young boys on that San Antonio squad that they are fearless, they are physical, they are athletic, and they are skilled.
Mm-hmm.
And my fear is that's something that's eliminated the Knicks the last 2 years, whether it was Halliburton and Nimhard last year with Indiana, and I forget who it was the previous year. We've been making these incremental, jumps, but that those are always the guards that give the Knicks problems. Brunson is a phenomenal talent. But at some points, like I learned, size has its limits, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the problem is that they are also quicker as well as bigger than he is. He's
Mm-hmm.
not the fleetest of foot, he's just extremely talented.
Mm-hmm.
But he's gonna have to rely on his dogs, if we're gonna win this title. And OG is playing out of his mind. So I mean,
Yes.
I hope he can get some more touches because it's like it's like he's the grenade launcher. He always gets the ball at the last couple minutes and he has to bail us out, and he has been doing it with these timely 3-point shots. We got to find some more offense to get him into that corner free, you know,
Mm-hmm.
take some of that burden off of Brunson so that fourth quarter time comes. That's our Mariano Rivera. It's time to go to the closer. He's got to be fresh, and they're
Mm-hmm.
pressing us. 90 feet up the court, that's going to wear and tear on you in a 48-minute game. So, I mean, get that rock up. Let somebody else deal with that. Or give me the Charles Oakley. If you remember in the 90s, you get the big man would inbound the ball and he would just take a nice slow trot down the
Right.
court and the point guard would just weave right behind him. He wasn't setting a pick, but, they would just get that body off of you. So
Mm-hmm.
that, just these little things I'd like to see that happen. I know that we're in a different era of AAU basketball and everybody's got an ankle break you, but that takes energy. That takes stamina. And then you
Right.
don't have the legs in the fourth quarter, you don't look too good. So
Right. 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 So you ain't breaking no ankles if you ain't got no energy.
there you go. And you're not hitting that jump shot without those legs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, less, it's going to sound crazy, but just less Brunson, I think, is more because the
Mm-hmm.
things we see everybody else get loose when Cat has the ball. Even when Brunson doesn't have the ball, they're paying attention to him. And he's
Yeah.
almost like Deion Sanders, what I'm saying? All the attention's on that side. So, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see some things happening, making themselves more available on the other side. So we'll see, man. But Mike Brown's done a really good job of making adjustments in this postseason. I'm confident in that. I'm definitely confident in the squad that we have, meaning that these guys stick together. There's no finger pointing. There's a lot of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
One loss in the Garden, we still have the home court advantage because we won two in San Antonio. So we just hold court next game, put that pressure and see if these young guys can wilt under the pressure. They haven't so far, but they haven't been up against the ultimate I should say elimination game yet, so let's we just speed bump, let's put the pedal back to the metal and keep on rolling.
Right, right. Awesome. That's great. Yeah, because OG, I feel like he's with his injury, I feel like he's kind of making up for lost time with the way he's been playing. I really enjoyed watching him do his thing. Um, Other than that, I mean, this series, the 2-0 lead was surprising, but not surprising because I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a dog fight. And they go 2-0. I'm going, well, maybe they might sweep them, But yeah, this is definitely one. I think this is going to be a little bit more back and forth. But like you said, New York definitely still has the advantage, and there's a good chance they can finish this thing out. Hopefully, in the next couple games. I really, I think everyone's looking forward to that. But this is definitely something that for the Knicks this is if they can finish the deal, long time coming. And I've said to one of my friends who's he's in New York, I said, we fellow podcast, I said, man, the city is not going to survive
Oh
if
man.
they'll win the title, like for real, for real.
Man, listen, man, I wish I had $180,000 to go get me some seats in Madison Square Garden, but I don't. So I told my wife if they win, I ain't going to no parade. Because,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of crazy. To me, I would say it'll be, 10 times crazier than the ball dropping for New Year's Eve. But I'll go up there, go to my neighborhood and hang out with my fellows, play some dominoes, drink some rum, and because it's going to be crazy in every community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think New York's kind of built like that. That's what I do like about, my hometown. It really has pockets for everybody, no matter what your income level is, no matter what your heritage or culture is. You can find that zone where it meets your emotional expectations as well as your financial expectations.
Right, right, right. Got you,
So
got you,
it's
got you.
really cool.
Cool. Okay, before we get to the topic, I'm sorry. You mentioned rum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you what's your go to?
Okay, my go-to, man. Man, the bottle's downstairs, or I would definitely promote it. I'm Guyanese.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 100% biased when it comes to rum. We have both El Dorado, which
Mm-hmm.
has been ranked the best tasting rum in the world a number of times. And then we have XM, which is extra mature by Banks DIH. Both of those are made by distilling sugarcane. So
Mm-hmm.
they have a marvelous taste to it. It's not the bitter aftertaste where you're slapping your neck. It's I would call it a harmonious aftertaste. It's
Slapping your dick. Slapping your
right.
dick is crazy.
Yeah. It's I'll say this. I first drank some with my dad and they were sitting out on the back porch. They had ice and coconut water. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the chaser. And this thing was so smooth. You didn't even feel like you were getting drunk because you weren't dehydrated because the coconut water was, what I'm saying, giving you that nice little remedy to chase the
Right.
alcohol, man.
Uh-huh.
But that's just to say it's that smooth that you can drink it and enjoy it with something as bland as coconut water or regular water, or a lot of folks just drink it neat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
Good.
that's
Good.
my rum, El Dorado or extra mature. I think the El Dorado you can get in the States, extra mature you got to get back home.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. All right. So here's what you sent me. So this is from IG. It's called this the I think the page is Sideline Blues. They posted this on May 12th. So at this particular time, Victor Wembanyama had played roughly about 175 games. And they said, here's his breakdown through 175 games. He scored 4,042 points, 1,912 rebounds, 610 blocks, 201 steals, and he's hit 382 three-point shots. Okay, that's Wemby. So then they compare him to a number of NBA greats for their particular skill set. Okay. So in the same time period, 175 games, you look at a great shooter, Larry Bird. He had 3,718 points. Rebounder, Charles Barkley. He had 1,898 rebounds. Hakeem Olajuwon, great defender, blocks. He had 526 blocks. Kobe Bryant, steals, 154. And then finally, Steph Curry, at that time, for his 175th game, he had hit 367 three pointers. So you said, hey, with this type of performance from Wemby, you hope to see him play for about 12 to 15 years. That was, your comment. And I said, okay, well, load management, yada, yada, yada. And then you were like, the old school guys had load management. So now talk to me about that.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'll start with the present day scenario and go back to the older times. When I'm looking at today's athletes, one, we ask them to train a lot harder. If you look at the physique, they are in way better shape. That's time in the gym. That's work and wear and tear on the body to be ready. Um, you have what I would call USA basketball. I think that's a major one. The league wants to promote pro players playing in that. And prior to the Dream Team, we had a lot of college players playing in that. So again, you didn't have a guy playing an 82 game series, then traveling to different destinations in the world to play competitive basketball against pros. These
Mm-hmm.
aren't weak. This isn't weak talent when we see how, Spain and France and those countries have stepped their games up internationally. So we're putting more activities, if you can call it that, on their 365-day calendar. Versus if you go back to the old days, one, the guys were not in the same physical shape. They might have had the same cardio, but the physical shape wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
You remember, I would pause and say we used to marvel in the second three-peat of the Bulls at how Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman used to wake up early, go play basketball, and work out.
Right.
Like working out wasn't even part of the equation.
Right.
Guys were playing their games and then they were out fishing, drinking, which in all, you know, um, technical terms, that's recovery.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting a longer window to recover before they go back into the NBA season.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to ask more of them, we have to understand that if they're not going to get that long break at one time, those breaks still have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to find that they're going to be segmented, and some of those breaks are going to come during the season. If not, you're going to end up with the postseason that we're getting, where everybody's out with an ACL or some type of knee injury. And we've seen that. Jason Tatum now 2 years in a row, he
Mm-hmm.
hasn't come back
Right.
or been able to finish, I would say, the playoff run with the Boston Celtics. Halliburton's out. Damian Lillard didn't play last year. Um, the list could go on. I don't have the full list in front of me, but there's some significant talent that the postseason is now missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's something to be mindful of. Even the reigning champions lost a key player with the hamstring.
Right.
He couldn't finish the playoff run against the San Antonio Spurs, or would they be in the finals playing against the New York Knicks? Load management is something to also throw out there. I know that I would say the Knicks benefited from playing Cleveland. They went 2 7 game series, but you had those 7 game series on top of the regular season. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, every fourth quarter that we played these guys and they ran out of gas. You know,
Right.
I mean, credit to the Knicks, and I'm not going to complain about it, but credit to us for sweeping previous series and
Hmm.
having that rest. But again, that's load management. Now that's built into, they'll say you earned that by winning in those series, but you see the benefit of it, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I would close out with saying to me, the best playoffs I have seen in the last 10 to 15 years was in the bubble when we were going through COVID-19, when we actually shut down
Hmm.
the NBA for about 2 months and rolled into the playoffs. And in that bubble, I remember I was telling my friends, there's no excuses. I don't want to hear Anthony Davis is banged up. I don't want to hear about this guy not being ready to play. I don't want to hear about coaches not having enough time to actually study the other team.
Hmm.
And we had phenomenal basketball. I mean, even the Joker came back and he was in shape. Remember, before COVID hit, the Joker was a chubby guy. When we
Right.
got to the bubble, they were remarking about how he dropped about 30 pounds and he looked like he was in the best shape of his life.
Hmm.
So that gap in time really allowed teams to get healthy.
Hmm.
And they put on, like I said, one of the best shows that I saw. I mean, look at what the Heat were able to do. They got healthy and the Heat put on some pressure. And
Hmm.
what, weren't they the team that the Lakers beat in the bubble for the championship?
I
But,
believe so. Yeah, I
that
believe so.
playoff Jimmy thing started bubbling up.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Right.
it's like given that opportunity to rest before the ultimate challenge, which is postseason basketball. And whether you do it through the season or if the league were to say, hey, we're going to take 2 to 3 weeks off, let everybody get fresh for this, I think that gives us the best basketball. And I relate it to going to see a play or something like that. I never want to see the understudy if I'm going to a Broadway play. I'm going there because I want to see the stars. I want to see them perform, and I want to feel like I've experienced the best of the best. And I think that load management you can't predict injuries, but load management can help us as we get down to the postseason to get the best of the best when it really matters and counts the most.
But thinking about the bubble, just to kind of add on to that, thinking about the bubble, it almost felt like I think the ESPN, I think, did a they did a segment they followed around, I think like Jimmy Butler, for example. And it was almost like the way it was set up is almost like they were on vacation, but they weren't. You know what I mean? So they get up every morning and okay, I go get my coffee and then I go to practice and then you have a lot of downtime. So to your point, okay, in this so many hours of time on this particular day, you can watch film and really be intentional. Then you play a game. Or I think one of the players was really into playing pickleball, which was crazy. So you see officials and players and TV people playing pickleball. It's almost as if you were forced to rest because of the circumstances. So I think that was kind of the built-in time that they got to rest.
And I would agree with you there and think, not just physical rest, but also mental rest, mental health.
Yes, yes.
So like you're saying, if somebody was into pickleball, that's an opportunity where you don't have the unnecessary distractions of friends or associates or girlfriends or all of that stuff. You're
Mm-hmm.
pulled away from it. And if that's the case, you're in a pretty supportive environment,
Mm-hmm.
for your well-being. And I guess I would say it has to deal with the individual having the discipline to invoke that type of environment when they're not forced to be in a bubble because we've got a deadly virus running around. But
Right.
um, but I definitely would say, yeah, I would agree with you 100% that that environment, promoted can, I shouldn't say did because I wasn't in the bubble, but I think it can promote better mental health, better mental clarity, particularly when you were considering the fact that we were all locked down in our homes. At least
Mm-hmm.
in this case, they could be part of community as well.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned, having those opportunities to just focus on what you need to focus on to get ready to do your thing. Um, and again, I do think that load management, I think that's why I think we need to look at it in a different way. And I would almost say that load management is going through what I think mental health went through maybe 15 to 20 years ago. where you have to realize that there are so many benefits to this, that you're not just weak, or
Right.
feeble, that, looking how these things can benefit. If I was an NBA owner anyway, I'm trying to find exactly what the sweet spots are for my various players to have
Hmm.
them performing in the best capabilities that they can with comfort and happiness, because that's when I think you get that best product on the court.
Hmm.
Um, and again, that's why I say I think load management is a part of that. Because even with me, I'm not running around, but when I was working for the feds, every so often I needed a mental health day,
Hmm.
where I just didn't want to be around those folks. Nobody did anything to me per se, but I just needed my break to unwind and exhale in my own time, in my own comfort. And again, I don't see any reason why someone I'm asking to fly from this town to this town and play tomorrow and then fly back across town and be ready to go in another 48 hours. And
Right.
then you're flying all the way across the country again, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I know they get paid a lot of money, but money doesn't make you impenetrable as a human being. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right. Right. Right.
they're still humans, and I can see that load management being a necessity.
But now thinking about it from a perspective of maybe 35 years ago to now, you say, okay, going back to what you're saying, okay, these players played their games and then they just went off and did whatever. Okay. Nowadays, these players, they're playing Olympics, World Cup, they're doing off-season workouts, which, you know, some I feel like off-season workouts are something that should be more personal, if you know what I mean. Like, and typically they are. And then of course the social media, they're doing all these things, making appearances. So how do you, I mean, this is kind of what you think. How do you make it work a little bit better to where you get it in during the season, but you kind of maximize how much they play, kind of to your point of, well, I'm coming here to see the star, not the understudy. Did that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I would love to have the blueprint to the LeBron James body care manual, because clearly he's doing it the right way. Okay. I'm 8 years older than he is, and I would like to have that manual so at 50 I can be moving around like he's moving around. Um, but I say that, shameless plug. I just got my certification as a physical trainer. So, part of that is selfish. I wanted to understand how to better take care of my body, better nutrients to put into my body so I can have longevity in this life game. But I think that one of the number one things is, again, how do you fuel your body? Forgive even before we get to load management, how do they fuel their bodies and how do they take care of their bodies? Are you out eating junk food? One of my favorite players was Dwayne Wade, not D Wade. You know what I'm saying? And I make a very big slash in between the two of those.
Hmm.
Dwayne Wade was Flash, okay? That's the
Hmm.
guy that won the chip with Shaquille O'Neal in Miami before LeBron got there. He was
Hmm.
dunking on everybody. He was flying through the air. And this ain't no shot because it would have happened to me too. Then he met this lady named Gabrielle Union, you know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
I was seeing him in social media drinking wine, eating desserts, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, he's supposed to do that,
You damn
right?
right he's supposed to do that. I would have done it too, okay? I got my chip. I don't want one, you know what I'm saying? And she's in my life. Hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? My game is gonna change like Jordan's did, and I'm gonna be shooting post fades, you know what I'm saying? I'm not flying through the air anymore. Because I'm gonna be where she's at.
Right.
When I wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock and I look over and I see her in the bed, I might hit snooze, 4 or 5 times when I get up right away. You know, you better be doing that, you know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
But that fueling and that discipline, you know what I'm saying? Just look at society. That's hard. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, but that's where I will say the difference comes when you are being paid, 26 to $50 million a year. Damn right, you better be able to have that discipline in your physical body and the things that you eat. Because there are some people, and I love the talent of Kyrie Irving, but he can't play.
Hmm.
You know, same thing with Anthony Davis, a super talented individual that can't stay on the court.
Right.
You know, that's partially training in the gym, but that's also what you fuel in your body. You know, are you building the necessary strength in your ligaments and your joints because of what you're fueling yourself with? You know, Doritos don't get that done, you know.
Right.
Popeyes, you know, them crispy chicken sandwiches. I hope you got some sponsorship with these folks. I'm mentioning,
Man, listen, I could
okay.
use the sponsorship to be real with you.
But shoot, that joint that joint is good. It tastes good. You know,
Mhm.
people get into fights over that Popeyes crispy chicken sandwich. But you know, is that gonna have enough nutrients to help build your body for the rigors of a 285 pound, you know, power forward leaning on you for 40 minutes in a game, you know?
Right,
Or
right.
is that gonna be enough when you gotta change direction on those joints? And you
Hmm.
weigh 204, and yet the force that these guys are generating physically. You know,
Hmm.
if you don't have that body, if you don't have those nutrients going into you to really build the inner core of that body, you're in some trouble.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But other than that, you know, I think that's establishing yourself to be able to play the game, period. Baseline. That's the baseline to me. And then you got to go into the fact that people have limitations, physical
Right.
limitations. Everybody has a different peak. So not everybody, as well as LeBron James, is taking care of his body. If somebody else does the same thing, it doesn't mean they're going to get the same result.
Right.
You know, they may get beyond what LeBron can do, or they may fall way short, even if they put the same work in. So again, you got to understand these individual players. And that's the same thing I would say with load management. You know, you don't load manage your whole team. You know, there are
Hmm.
specific dudes that you're probably asking to do more than the body should do. And yeah, those guys need a break. And that's why this isn't golf or tennis. It's a team sport. You know, I got to be able to sit my dude down and have the other guys carry us for a game when we got a back to back and his person just played 42 minutes the night before. I grew up in, you know, I'm West Indian heritage. You know, we play soccer. That's our sport. There are very many times where you sit a player down, you know, after, you know, you done played 2 games in a row, he done had a, you know, a rough, or maybe it was physical. Maybe you didn't have a chance to substitute him out. Maybe he did a lot more running than usual. Yeah, you get that dude a rest and he ain't playing today. You know,
Hmm.
so to me, that's just hell. You got that with your car, man. You know, you look at all the aspects where we've already done this to the
Hmm.
benefit of things. You know, you don't run your car ragged 24/7. You know, even when you drive this car and you realize you got a work truck that you need to go to work, what do? You get another vehicle. Why do you
Right.
have the church vehicle? Because you're giving your truck some load management. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Hmm.
you're not taking your church vehicle out on these work trips. You got to get
Hmm.
that girl some load management. You know, it just benefits the longevity of your investment. You know,
Hmm.
again, if I'm gonna get, that's what I'm saying, like Kyrie Irving, man, if I'm gonna get that dude 5 years, $256 million, and then t run him ragged in that first year, and I don't get anything on the back end of that contract, that's shame on me as the owner. You know, again, look at the Knicks. I wouldn't call it load management, but you know, Brown versus Thibodeau, you might as well call that load management because Thibodeau only played about 6 guys, and your
Hmm.
guys were tired and they were worn out. And now you see the Knicks with Shamet coming off the bench killing it. You got Deuce killing it, you know, and the wealth is spread.
Hmm.
Everybody's a lot, you know, a lot fresher. And
Right.
that's helped propel that team. But you know, the Knicks bench had a 42-point quarter last night, second
Hmm.
quarter.
Hmm.
I mean, hell, we should have probably played the bench a little bit more in the second half. You know, fresher legs got you something special going.
Hmm. Yeah, and well, and that's the other piece to it. Roster management, obviously. I mean, there are some teams that tend to thrive well for some reason with their starting five and play maybe two, maybe three people off the bench. When you have a good roster of players that can give you quality minutes, you can again load manage during the game. You can actually sit them down, let them get a
Hmm.
breather for
Hmm.
however long, and then get them back in the game. But you're still getting that continuity during the game, so that's important too.
I would agree with you, and I'm gonna sound like I think I'm a pro here, right? I'm gonna put on my Thomas K. Smith hat and instead of Stephen A. hat, but I think that goes to coaching, 100% coaching. Why is it that you have 12 guys to 15 guys on your roster and only seven of them are NBA talents? Because you're not playing these other guys. You're telling me that you're not coaching these guys up? Or are you telling me that the NBA is so wild, so much like the Wild Wild West that the players just do what they want to do and choose what they don't want to do?
Mhm.
Because Mitchell Robinson, I don't know what's going on, but you should be shooting 10,000 free throws every day. I don't need to coach rebounding from you or shot blocking. You need cardio and free throw shooting. Okay.
Damn.
And I'm, just so you keep your stamina, because everything else you can do, I don't have to coach.
Right.
But we do have to coach this shooting. And that's the thing. Like, I don't understand. Stephen A. Smith had that Kwame Brown rant that went viral, and I don't have no hate on Kwame Brown, so I don't want him taking any shots at me. But if you're in the league for 12 years, if you're in the league for 5 years, why haven't you developed a package that you can go to that you can score with? And
Hmm.
if that's the case, if you have developed that package, I as a coach should be able to go deeper than 8 guys.
Hmm.
And some of them is 7 or 6 guys. I gotta go hard. You bring in some guy, don't tell me you're just bringing a guy in there to stand on the court. Like, you have to coach him up.
Hmm.
And I think we see that lack of coaching across the board in a lot of sports. But
Yeah.
I especially think that if a guy, if you come into this game, especially in today, and you can't shoot from outside, you should be spending half of your time developing your proper form, your proper balance, and proper release to shoot the jump shot. Because stretching the floor is a major part of today's game. And nobody is a back to the basket big. So, I mean, even if you're a big, you've got to stretch the floor.
Yeah. And, I know that's today's game. I'm old school. When I
Mhm.
played, it was, I was tall enough when I played at that particular level. This is like junior high. I played my back to the basket. I mean, every
Yeah.
now and then I turn around, shoot, maybe I shoot a little free throw jump shot or maybe off the elbow, at worst off the elbow.
Mhm.
But now it's like, okay, you 6'7", you out here shooting 3 pointers. I'm like, come on now, what are we doing? I mean, I get it. I'm not gonna be that guy. Or I get it. It's the game.
I would argue you should be that guy because I agree with you. And for me, I was just regarding the way that the game is played now, but I agree with you 100%. When I was growing up, it didn't matter if you were a center or you were a point guard. You had to have the ability to put your back on somebody and score.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter, again, what position you were. It was, what's my size matchup? Because
Yes. Yes.
being a Knick fan, when you put somebody who was 6'1", 6'2" on Mark Jackson, he wasn't going to try to break you down. He'd turn
Mm-hmm.
around and put you on his back and walk you right down the lane
Right.
and do a little drop step floater. That's where the floater came from. Remember Mark Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
Marv Albert used to call it the teardrop.
Right.
But that's where the floater came from. He'd back you down instead of doing a sky hook as a little guy, he would turn around and hit you with the floater.
Mm-hmm.
I seen Isaiah Thomas, as small as he was, hit somebody in the post, pop a quick spin, and now he's got a
Yep.
lane.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when you look at the GOAT, as they call him, Michael Jordan, he went from the high flyer to, I'm not even gonna do this with you young fellas. Yo, give me this in the triangle. I'm gonna do my little lean on you. And the next thing you know, it's a turnaround fade splash. You can't block this. I'm gonna see you down here. I'm not wasting any energy on you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's no need to do all of this flop, flop, cutting and dancing and all of that. Just give me this block. Let me lean and let me turn and pow. All right, come
Mm-hmm.
back down here and put up some points against me.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if and I mean, Joker is probably the close. Joker, Embiid, and Karl Anthony Towns. I would love to see Wemby, not in this series, but I would love to see Wemby on the block more.
Mm-hmm.
I think Wemby is going to need to hit the gym a little bit more because I think Karl
Yes.
Anthony Towns is exposing. He's the only person that I've seen take advantage of Wemby's thinness to this
Mm-hmm.
manner. But I think that this should be something. Wemby hit that Giannis weight room this summer, and if he comes back like that. it's
Hmm.
over for us all.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy how much the game has changed. And then the matchups used to be fairly equal. You might get a mismatch every now and then, but for the most part, if you were a wing, you're whoever was guarding you was about the same height, center, et cetera, et cetera. You always had that one exception, maybe at center. You might have an exception at point guard, where you get someone who's a little bit taller. But for the most
Mhm.
part, it was a pretty one-on-one game. So like you said, it was a one-on-one matchup. You pass, maybe set picks, but you would just take your man mano a mano and go to the basket. Very simple.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, the matchups and the mismatches, I would say, to me, in today's game, when I see Shea,
Mm-hmm.
Gilgeous-Alexander,
Mm-hmm.
I think he takes advantage of it because he ain't out there shooting them threes. He is getting into the lane and he will lean his body on you. That's why he
Mm-hmm.
shoots so many free throws.
Yes.
I think Anthony Edwards has a little bit of that old school style, the kind of gritty, I don't mind banging with you to score.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because especially Shea, when I see Shea, man, I kind of see Penny Hardaway from the
Hmm.
Orlando Magic, man.
Hmm.
That longer dude gets his body on you, pull up mid-range off the elbow, and you can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's but they have that, those guys kind of embody that old school style too. And when I say old school style, I don't mean to be stale and bland. Old
Mm-hmm.
school style was everybody had to play defense.
Mm-hmm.
You had to be able to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You had to be able to get to the basket, and you
Mm-hmm.
had to be able to finish at the basket.
And the game was very physical.
Yes, it was. Oh, you had to be able to finish through contact.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But it's like to be an old school player meant that you were like a Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
You had a switch for everything. When
Mm-hmm.
somebody stopped what you did, you had a counter for that. And your
Yes.
counter might not be a fancy move. It's just like, okay, if I can't get the jump shot off, I'm going to the basket.
Right.
And I'm going to score because I'm going to even insist on making some contact because I
Mm-hmm.
want to go to the basket and I want him
Mm-hmm.
to feel me when I go to the basket so I could turn to him and scream and one in his face. And
Right.
that's how I'm getting my 3 pointers. I'm not just going for two. I want the two and one.
Right.
You
Right.
can
Right.
come
Right.
down here, hit a three. I'm gonna hit you with another two and one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I agree with you. It was physical, but again, it was the old school styles. Like, I would love if these young kids went back and watched the boring YouTube clips of like the 80s finals with the Lakers and the Celtics, like the Pistons and the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
You actually see how efficient the game of basketball was. And I would say not to these guys, but prior to the Kobe Bryant, Carmelo Anthony era. That's
Mm-hmm.
when volume scorers became part of the game.
Right.
Prior to that, you would see the guys come down court, there would be some ball movement, wide open shot, bottom of the net. You get back on defense, same thing would happen. And I literally watched the game with the Lakers and the Celtics in their finals in the 80s where for a 3 minute span, neither team missed a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were just getting the ball to their dudes, using off-ball screens to open people up,
Mm-hmm.
and people were getting to their sweet spots, and it was just cash. It was just
Mm-hmm.
cash. And you're sitting there like, man, that is beautiful basketball. I'll be honest with you, and you see everything kind of comes back to the Knicks because my heart's hurting, but I haven't seen that kind of basketball um, until I really saw the Knicks in like the last 4 games prior to game 3.
Mm-hmm.
The last few games against Cleveland and the first 2 games against San Antonio, man. I mean, there was a possession where the Knicks had 7 passes in the half court offense before it got to a wide open shooter. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's what I grew up watching initially. Before the
Right.
one-on-one, I'm a breaking ankles and driving dishes, all we get in ball movement.
Right.
Golden State tried to do a little bit of that, but not even to that full effect when Steph and Draymond and Clay were really cooking. But that got shriveled up as soon as they brought KD and they went back to that isocentric offense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but seeing that. the hopping of the ball, and that's how everybody gets involved. And next thing you know, what was a 14-point lead by San Antonio gets brought down, to a Knicks leading by 6 at halftime, and then we stop doing it.
Right,
So
right,
it's
right,
like just understanding that in basketball, that ball movement, man, that'll have everybody cooking.
right. But thinking about the game historically, James Naismith, his intention in the game was for it to be wide open, fast paced, full court, baseline to baseline. So
Hmm.
now we're more that half court type game, which there's nothing wrong with that. It just kind of shows you how offenses differ, how you can be somewhat creative offensively, but
Hmm.
I enjoy, and you and I know this, enjoy watching that up and down, that fast
Absolutely.
pace. I love that. Fast break basketball. I mean, the Showtime Lakers. Come on, who the
Hmm.
hell don't love that? You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you there because again, I'm gonna show my age. We're getting back to like the Lakers versus the 76ers. When
Yeah.
you had Showtime on one side, then you had Moses Malone and Dr. J on the other side. They could bring the show themselves. So,
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
that dunk on Michael Cooper, that's historic, rock the baby to sleep, that's yeah, that's what you want. I mean,
Yeah.
the Miami Heat gave us a little bit about that when they had their big three with LeBron, D Wade, and Bosh. Once they got a rebound, they was up to the run. You knew it was going up in the air for someone to catch that alley-oop.
Yep.
And like you said, that brings that excitement.
Mm,
Um, Nothing but respect for the San Antonio Spurs, especially the Tim Duncan era, because that was just basketball professionalism. But ain't nobody getting shot, too hyped about the river walk, because Timmy was just gonna turn around, face you up, hit you off glass all day long, you know.
Timmy was so reliable. I mean, it was just
Yes.
like because somebody I think I think a Facebook, not Facebook, a Twitter post where they showed a picture of an ice cream sandwich, and they
Mm-hmm.
said Tim Duncan's game was like that. It's classic, no frills.
Mm-mm.
You enjoyed it. It was just that's what it was,
It
and
did
I was like,
everything it was supposed to do,
exactly,
except
exactly.
excite you.
Right. It's like you don't really get excited about an ice cream sandwich, but it's still delicious. You still
Mhm.
love it, and you're always gonna go to
You're always gonna eat it. You're gonna go to it. And
it.
so that's what I'm saying. It's like that's we all love the fast pace flow, you know what I'm saying? Especially, coming to this country, everything in this country is about speed and power. You know,
Hmm.
it's about horsepower. Everything is horsepower. What's the biggest, what's the strongest? That's why Wemby's perfect in this country, even though he's from France. We're
Right.
just caught up with the size, the sheer force that he can actually implement on the basketball court. I'm
Hmm.
glad he's this young and he didn't play with Tim Duncan because that would have been some problems for the league. But
Man, listen, man. Look, it. I can't even express how much of a problem that would have been.
mhm.
Oh my god.
Mm. And it's like if as we're talking about Tim Duncan, I would say to me his antagonist would have been Chris Webber
Hmm.
because Chris Webber would give you all of that work too, but Chris Webber had that flair as well.
Hmm.
I loved, from the Fab Five just to Golden State. I don't know why Orlando didn't pair Chris Webber and Shaq together. That would have been insane.
Hmm.
Because people forget Chris Webber was a stretch four.
Hmm.
Everything he could do with his back to the basket, all the mixing up he did, shot blocks, rebounding. He'll step out and hit that top of the key jump shot just to keep you honest.
Hmm.
You
He was
know,
a monster. He was a monster around the rim.
oh man,
Absolute monster.
he's what Zion Williams wanted to be. That's what we hoped he would be. That's to me, that's the fair assessment. He was athletic like that around the rim. He could hit the three. He could handle the ball. I mean, there was nothing that he couldn't do, and he had the discipline to keep doing it. So I love me some Chris Webber. I just know that he got hosed against the Lakers in the in
Mm.
Sacramento. I think that might have been 99, but we ain't gonna talk about those referees calls because I seen some of those last night in the Knick game.
Right,
Wemby
right.
put his arm around Jalen Brunson's neck,
Yes.
shoved him, and no
Mm-hmm.
call at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mike Brown, if you're listening, talk about Wemby screens because he always uses two hands to shoot, to shove the man he's screening. Get the ref's eyes on that. Get that man out the
Mm-hmm.
game.
Oh, I'm sure he has let them know a few times about that one. I'm
hmm
positive of that because he talked about the free throw discrepancy
hmm
in the game last night. He's like, he goes, you can't what did he say? In so many words, he said there were the things we can control that we have to
hmm
work on, but come on.
Yeah.
Those free throws are just out of control.
Yeah, he said they're saying that we only got fouled four times in the second half because we only
Mm.
had eight free throws.
Right, right,
They had
right.
24. Yeah, man. Yeah. I
That's
agree with you, Mike Brown.
absolutely nuts. So one other thing, injury, as far as different eras, because that obviously players across all eras have different kinds of
hmm
injuries. I feel like players now have more significant injury, if that sounds
hmm
crazy.
hmm
And again, old school guys didn't do a whole lot. I think when I talked to you, I said the joke was these guys would play basketball for 82 games, then they go do whatever crazy thing they're into,
hmm
indulge in all their vices. They come back, play basketball, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be fine. These guys nowadays, I don't know what's happening. I mean, they're having more injuries, more significant injuries, and maybe that's the physicality, the working out, getting stronger, being more physical. Maybe that's the piece. 'Cause I see that a lot in football.
And I would say, man, I think it's the overtraining, man. Honestly, I think it's the overactivity. Um, we're asking these athletes, regardless of sport, whether it's basketball, football, even baseball, we're asking them to do so much more, even at the little league level. You've
Yeah.
got,
Oh God,
you've
it's
got,
terrible.
yeah, you've got these kids, whether it's soccer, baseball, football, basketball, they're on four or five club teams,
Mm-hmm.
which means they're playing every dang day. Where's the rest and recovery? Then we wonder why these kids are having issues with arms and
Mm.
shoulders. Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
done ran them ragged for 12 straight years,
Mm.
and now you want them to
Mm-hmm.
come in here and perform at the highest level. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they do that for the first, what, how long? And then they bow, Tommy John, Tommy John, Tommy
Right.
John.
Right.
We're seeing the same thing with all these non-contact injuries in the NBA. We
Mm.
all hear about, for me, once I hear the calf on somebody, I know the Achilles is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And that Achilles is going to shut you down for a year. But in
Mm.
football, we see it, Michael Parsons, rushing the passer,
Mm-hmm.
got non-contact injury. The soft tissue injuries that guys didn't have before. Because why? Their body's compensating for another muscle that they've worked so hard it hasn't had the chance to recover appropriately.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
these I'm looking out into the distance because I'm trying to remember his name. Was it Murray? Who was the running back from the Dallas Cowboys? They ran him into the mud, then they didn't give him a contract.
Oh God, I know you're talking
He was
about
before before
Murray.
before
I know you're talking about. God damn, I can't call his name either. Blah, 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 blah.
yeah,
Yeah, I know you're
but
talking about. I cannot call his
but
name.
you
Save
kind of
my life right
understand
now.
they loaded that dude up with 438 carries.
Mm-hmm.
And he carried the offense. He made a nice little playoff run for the first time for the Dallas Cowboys. But you didn't re-sign him. He went to the next to I think it was Baltimore, and he just didn't have any juice left in the tank. He
Mm-hmm.
probably needed a whole year off after that. Go back to the days when I used to watch the 49ers with Roger Craig and Joe Montana and that crew. Roger Craig would have 200 carries for the whole season.
Right, right, right.
And he'd still run for 1,000 yards. Same thing with Robert Smith when they were on the Vikings, still ran for 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they weren't running to the ground. They had more explosive runs, probably because
Right.
they were less, deterred in the fourth quarter. So I
Mm-hmm.
do think that one, the athletics training staff and coaching, they have to be a lot better. Because again, man, if I drafted you in the first round of any sport, I
Mm-hmm.
want you around for a long time, not just a good time. And I need to find ways to prolong your longevity. And I'm gonna say this, man. I don't know what LeBron does to pay for his services, but I mean, he's a millionaire. These owners are billion and trillionaires.
Hmm.
What's $5 to them is, my $5 in my account to their money. This care for your players and your athletes shouldn't. That's part of team operations as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm
Hmm.
definitely getting Anthony Davis on a regimen to try to keep him healthy. Whether that's working out and not what you want to work out, what we have determined you need to work on. Go whatever game you want to shoot and whatever moves you want, that's cool. But when it comes to your body, man, we're
Hmm.
gonna make the investment. And I think Chip Kelly was onto something, but he was a little too dictatorial about it when he was on the
Mm.
Eagles about
Yeah.
how you fuel your body.
Hmm.
He was onto something, but he just took a little a dictatorial manner into saying that you can't have this and you can't have that. But he was onto something about how you fuel yourself.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, Chip Kelly had about a third right. I mean, for some reason, he gets it 100% right in college. He got to the pros and
Hmm.
just lost his damn mind. I don't know what was going on there. Someone gave him a little bit too much power, and
Yeah.
he just ran with it. You know.
And he
Um.
forgot something. On the college level, you have adolescents to new men, young men that you're dealing with. They still gonna look up to you with some level of authority.
Right.
You get to the NFL now, and you ain't proved a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
These
Mm-hmm.
guys gonna look at you like, what the bloop you talking about, dude? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. That's what happened. He didn't
Yeah.
last long in
I'm a
Philly. He didn't last long in San Francisco. That's
nah,
what happened, man.
I'm a five-time Pro Bowler. You telling me what? Get out of here. And listen, that's where charisma has to come into play.
Hmm.
Because if you approach a five-time Pro Bowler a certain way, he gonna tell you to kick rocks. You
Right.
find that sweet spot, and he's gonna take what you're saying into consideration.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
even if it ain't a lot, but at least he might try something, and you might find something that gets you 50% of the way you want to be instead of 100% away from where you want to be.
Right.
And not needing, what's that term? Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good, or don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yes, I think
Something
so.
like that. I
Mm.
don't know all the terms. We use different terms in the Caribbean.
I'm sure you have a saying in the Caribbean that's similar.
Similar.
Yeah,
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 yeah. Well,
yeah.
there are a couple, but yeah, man.
Um, so going back to football,
Hmm.
so we just had the NFL draft.
Hmm.
Vikings. What do you think the Vikings? How do they looking this coming season? What do you think is going to happen?
I have my I'm afraid is the words I would say.
Mm,
I hope Kyler Murray can work out because we got him for next to nothing.
mm-hmm,
But I like Kyler Murray, but I have been very let me be honest, I've been put off by some of his responses on the field when things don't go right.
mm-hmm,
And from the quarterback position, from a leadership position that can influence your team. Um, his fuse, from a short guy joke, his fuse seems as short as we are. You know what I'm saying? And I think you got to roll better as in that quarterback position to, really bring about the best out of your teammates. When I mean I play both quarterback and wide receiver, and nobody feels worse when the ball hits the ground on the ball that should have been caught than the wide receiver does.
mm-hmm,
You don't need to go heap on that and further, you know, degrade the confidence of somebody. That being said, I will go into this season with no expectations. And I'm hoping that just observing will be a good thing. We're in a division that's only getting tougher. The Chicago Bears, are getting better. You've got the Packers doing their thing. And I do not believe that Dan Campbell has fallen off the map. Last year, Detroit was
mm-hmm.
still pretty good, but he lost both coordinators. Okay. So, let's see where it all falls down. I can see us being anywhere from first in the division to last in the division.
Okay, okay. Well, that's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
I do not like the quarterback that we previously had, McCarthy. Not a big fan of his.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have not. I just haven't been happy with the Vikings quarterback selections. Probably since I was high on Travaris Jackson
Mm-hmm.
when we first got him, because I thought he would fit the mold, could throw the
Mm-hmm.
ball, move it. I don't think that we invested appropriately in the training for him. We
Mm-hmm.
followed that up with like Christian Ponder.
Mm-hmm.
There was just, and then it was a merry-go-round of, like the Brett Favre and for all these old guys. Sam Darnold was good, but I still think we made the right decision on that
Mm-hmm.
because even if we'd have paid him all that money, we'd have had to lose positions elsewhere. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we are a team that is a quarterback away. Um, and I don't think that I'll say this. I don't think Sam Darnold was the guy for us because the quarterback that he is was perfectly supported in Seattle with good
Yes.
running game, great offensive line. We don't have that offensive line in Minnesota, so let's just call it what it is. So whoever's back there has to have a different set of poise. Can't
Mm-hmm.
see ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't see any ghosts when he was in Seattle, but
Mm-hmm.
New York and in that last run in Minnesota, he started just yielding because again he knew he was going to get beat up with that trashy old line that we had. Kyler Murray can move, so he'll give us that opportunity again. JJ McCarthy's played 6 games in 2 seasons. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I ain't trying to get funny, but if he was a brother, he'd be out the league already, all right? So I don't know what we holding on to JJ for. And especially when you played, you can't find Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the NFL. So
Right,
there's something
right.
wrong with that connection.
How do you miss that?
That's what I'm saying. There's something wrong with that connection. So I mean, hey, thank you, be out. Um, so we'll see how it goes. We're gonna have to hang our hat on the defensive side of the field again.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had my ultimate fantasy come true, the young man from Ole Miss would not have gotten his extra year of eligibility, and he would have been out in the draft. And I'm like, can we get him next year? I'm
Right.
already look. The season ain't. We ain't even got to training camp, and I'm talking about next year's quarterbacks already. All right, so that lets you know how I feel about the quarterback room in Minnesota right now.
Right, right, right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But I got my fingers crossed. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong, but I'm not
Yes.
too hopeful going in. I just hope that this year don't make Justin Jefferson say, "Yo, I need to trade out of here."
Yeah,
Because he was
let's
very,
knock on wood for that one too, because
listen,
man, oh my
he was
God.
very nice. He was very nice last year. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't see him losing his cool. I mean, I'm gonna tap my hat to that dude. That's a whole bunch of professionalism, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They say the brothers ain't professional. Listen, that dude was professional as hell last year, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
so I would like to tip my hat to him on that.
That's good stuff, man. All right. Hey man, so damn, when's the last time you played golf? Where you been playing?
Oh man, so I took a month off. I need to get back over to Langston for the
Mm-hmm.
Soulful Sundays with the
Mm-hmm.
Bison Impact Group.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't know, I think you've mentioned it on here before, but beautiful job raising funds for folks that are survivors of domestic violence through playing and educating folks in golf. So it's a lot of fun to be associated with them. Um, so I'll be back out on Sundays at Langston. We've got 3 Sundays this month left that will be out. But I will say I have not been playing golf. I went out a couple times in April, but May was my birthday month, and I was coming up on 50 years, so it was a milestone birthday.
Man,
So
happy birthday again to you.
thank you, my brother. My wife spoiled the blank out of me, okay?
Okay.
Including getting me out into the Atlantic Ocean on a cruise with Virgin Voyages. So man,
Mm-hmm.
I've just lived my best month in a long,
Mm-hmm.
long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be getting back on, but I will. Woodmore is one of the places that I really like to play at. That's a little gym, not too far outside of the city here in DC.
Hmm.
Historic Langston, like I said, I'll be the director there and we'll be playing golf there as well.
Hmm.
Um, I have not been to East Potomac since Trump has taken over.
Mm.
Um, but those are and Norbeck golf course is another good one. Enterprise, and
Hmm.
if you want to do the nine, what is that? Paint Branch. If you just want to get a quick nine and
I
paint.
love Paint Branch. I
That
think I played there back in I think I was there in April. Yeah, I played Paint Branch in April. Yeah, I love Paint Branch.
yeah,
Yeah.
you only get about two or three holes that you can pull a driver out on, but
Yes.
that it's such a beautiful golf course, man.
And I'm glad they saved it because I know Maryland was trying to take it over, and that was a
Yeah,
big thing about that. I'm so glad because that course means so much to
to the community,
the,
yeah.
to the community without question. Yeah, 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 for sure.
And that's how I feel about Langston as well. So it's good to see that the administration hasn't stuck their fingers in there yet. Because again, that's all part of the DC consortium of golf courses, public courses,
Mhm.
between Langston, East Potomac, and Rock Creek. And folks know Langston's where, African Americans have been playing for quite some time, through
Yes.
segregation and all. So
Hmm.
it's nice to see that that has been left alone for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, where have you been playing, man? Because I do need to get out a little bit more.
Wow. Let's see. Played Sligo a little while ago with a coworker. So, shout out my man Kush. He's been on the show before. Actually, I need to get him back on.
Okay.
Let's see. Sligo a couple times. I played Needwood last week. Played the nine
Mhm.
hole there and played pretty good. I was pretty
Needwood's
happy
nice.
with how I played. I was telling my dad the other day that I just, based upon what I've been doing at the range, I said, okay, I know what clubs I can hit at a particular
Mhm.
distance. So I just wanted to focus on knowing what I could hit, doing decent on the driver. My short game was working, the putting was
Mhm.
great. So it just all was starting to feel really
Feeling
good,
good.
you know?
Yeah,
So,
man.
I was pleased about that. So I'm playing Friday and a outing on Friday. So I'm playing 18 on Friday, but yeah, just trying to get to some more courses. I've never played Woodmore, never been to Norbeck, Oak Creek. I wanted to play at Enterprise in an outing a couple weeks ago, but I wasn't able to make it. But yeah, I'm just trying to get out and do more stuff this year, man.
All right, let me see. I'll see if I can get a plug for the Woodmore because I know that's a gated community. So if you know someone living in there, they can usually get you out on the course.
Okay, okay.
So I'll reach out. I had a homeboy, but he's not part of the golf club anymore. But yeah, man. Yeah, that's a real nice one. But yeah, man, let me know when you're going out because I'm a bag for hire is what I'll call myself. I don't ever have a full foursome to play with, but I'll jump in a foursome and take a hit, even if it's in a tournament where we're doing a scramble.
Okay.
Good times, man. Definitely have a good time. And
All right.
golf is so peaceful.
Yeah, I love it.
Especially,
And
look, once you're not taking yourself too seriously. You know what I'm saying?
well, look, man, I try not to, and sometimes I just laugh and say, you know what, ain't nobody paying me to do this, so what am I even doing, right?
Man, listen, man. Again, I watch golf on Sundays and I watch these pros, and to me, the most helpful thing for my golf game is to realize that these guys spray the ball over the world too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they might have the ability to hit a great recovery shot and get themselves right on the green from where they
Yeah.
shot a terrible shot in the rough, but they screw up just as much as we do, you
Yes,
know?
they do.
And
Mm-hmm.
you watch and you're like, man, he did that. Rory shot that over there. I could do
Right.
this.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Shambo did that. Okay, man. I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel that bad about hooking this joint into the woods and losing two balls on the same tee.
That's it. That's it. Like I said, I talked about how Rory, I think the second or I think third round of the PGA, man, Rory hit more balls in the rough. I was like, man, Rory is just having a terrible day, But
hmm
that's golf. Golf is crazy
Yeah,
like that, man.
yeah, man. It
Yes,
humbles you at the time that you feel you're highest, and at the time you feel like you're lowest, it picks you up.
that's true. Absolutely. There's always something that keeps you coming back.
hmm
All right. Well, Tommy, man, appreciate you coming through, man. I mean, thank you for, hitting me with that comment. But yeah, this is good stuff and good conversation. And yeah, man, we definitely need to get on the course more sooner than later, man.
Thank you, man. If I can just throw in one more
Go ahead.
shameless plug, I'll say, hey, the DC primaries are coming up. Go ahead and mark Kevin Shavers Jr. as your number one in this ranked choice voting. That's
All
my
right.
guy.
Okay.
HU all the way.
All right. All right. There you go. You heard it direct from the source. All right.
Take
All right,
care, my
listen.
brother.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, appreciate you. And we're going to go and wrap this one up. But thank you all for listening. You know where to find me. You know what I tell you to do. Continue to take care of yourself, look out for each other, and always remember to drink your water. Mind the business that pays you. Peace.